Hi friends, it's Unicorn, and today I am bringing you a good old book haul with a twist. Last year, a friend of mine recommended me a Chinese reading podcast called 文化有限. Their English title is We Know Nothing, and this turned out to be an amazing discovery for me because since I moved to the States, I had some difficulty to stay connected with the latest publishing news, and this podcast became a great way for me to discover new books and also hear some of the discussions in the Chinese reading community. So after binge listening to the podcast, I couldn't resist the temptation of buying some books. And luckily, my friends also recommended me a website where I can buy books from China. So I got my first Chinese book parcel in 10 years. I do also have some Chinese book with me, but those are all the books that I carried physically from home to the States. So this time I'm really happy that I have those two amazing found, and I just wanted to share with you the books that I got. I got in total of 13 books, and 6 of them are non-fiction, 7 of them are fiction books. So today, to prevent this video to be a million years long, I'll just talk about the fictional books, so I'm saving the non-fictions to some videos later on. And I don't think these books are translated into English yet, but I do hope that you will find those books interesting because I'm so excited about them. So without further ado, let's dive into the books. First of all, let's talk about the short story collections. I found myself reading more short story collections in Chinese, like the ratio, not the exact number, compares to the English books that I read. I don't know why, but I feel like there are more short story collections are getting noticed or getting published in the Chinese reading community, and these 3 are the ones that I'm looking forward to read. The first one is 今夜通宵杀敌 by Zheng Zaihuan. It has an English title called Kill the Enemy All Night. It sounds quite brutal, but it's about the passionate youth, exuberance, and the desire of people in a small town called Zhumadian. It also shows you in some places, regardless of the age, some chivalrous spirit will never die out. This is actually the second book by this author, and also the second book set in the same universe with as the first one. I haven't read the first book yet, but I also read that it's actually both of the books can be read as standalone, and also if you are new to this author, it's recommended to start with the second book because it features a more mature writing style. So this is what I'm looking forward to by this author right now. And I just realized my audio was messed up, so if you notice any sound transition, that is why. I'm so sorry about it. But moving on, the next book I want to talk about I got is called 暴雨下在病房里 by Su Fang. The title translates to Rainstorm in the hospital ward. This short story collection primarily centered around a conventional relationship between a man and a woman. The story portrays their relationships in different variety of stages of their lives and places and situations, and exploring the spiritual stages of our life and circumstances. When this book was recommended on the podcast, they emphasized the beautiful writing and the sentence to sentence and the sorrowness and the emotional investment in this book. And on top of that, the guest host in this episode, I was a big fan of him about 10 years ago, so I really trusted his recommendations. This is also one of the reasons why I got this book. Following, I have a book called 如雪如山 by Zhang Tianyi. The title translates to Like Snow, Like Mountain. And just let me show you. So see the snow mountain here is actually a book skirt. So you can take it off. And on the skirt it's written about people's recommendations, but when you take it off, you can see the full cover design of the book. And it is just so amazing. It's just so pretty. I don't like when people write their recommendations on book covers, but I do like this design. You don't see a lot of book skirts in the States. Anyhow, this book tops the charts of the most popular Chinese fictional books in 2022. So that's also one of the reasons why I picked it up. So for this author, snow and mountains are very common elements in the lives, and also we cannot ignore them because they're existing and they are just there. By that, I will argue that the author grew up in some northern region of China because you don't actually see a lot of snows in the south. Anyhow, the metaphor of snow and mountain is the author's way of discussing women's life and destinies in her stories. The delicate and fragmented daily life resembles snow, but also the carved past in our history resemble mountain. By combining the aspect of snow and mountain, the author believes that we gain some deep understanding of the past of every woman's life. I find this perspective fascinating, and also it was quite popular, so I want to read it and find out why. Now let's move on to novels. The first novel I got here is called Chaositu by Lin Zhao. The title translates to Tidal Charts, and please look at it. The cover design is amazing. It's like another book cover that I love a lot. And it also continues to the back. This book is unique and intriguing, both narratively and thematically. You can call this book a historical fantasy setting in the southern part of China, starting from the 1820s. And our protagonist is a giant frog who was raised by different humans where they were learning about human world before they decided to set on a journey of themselves. The first part of this book was written in Cantonese, which makes it a little bit challenging and difficult for Mandarin speaker like me to read. However, it's not impossible. We can still understand it, but probably the pronunciation of the word in our mind is all messed up. Gradually, in the second part, the book transitions to written Mandarin along with the frog's journey, and the transition of the language fascinates me and also gave this book so much richness in its culture. Actually, in one of my earliest videos, I recognized Cantonese as one of the speaking dialects in China, which I think I already took that video down because I couldn't be more wrong there. But that's a topic for another day. And regarding to this book, I've heard that playing around with the languages actually give you such a unique feeling about the lives in the South and also enrich the culture aspect of the story. So for all of the reasons above, this is the book that I'm most excited about. Next, we have a novel called Banma by Fu Zhen. It just translates to zebras as the cover indicated. And we have another super long book skirt here, but it's like irregular. Let me take it off and show you. So now you see the zebra aspect of the title, but it's also giving a very vibrant color on the outside because the book is set in Thailand. Fu Zhen is one of my most favorite writers in contemporary China, if not the absolute favorite one. She has previously published 2 memoirs which both I adore, and I carry them over from home to here. They stay with me forever. Technically, I should be so excited and read this book right away, but I haven't read it and it's already been a year, and I have several reasons of it. First of all, I've never read Fu Zhen's fictional work before. I've only read her non-fictions, although this fictional work, this novel is also inspired by her real life. It's still fictional, so I don't know how. I'm a little nervous about it. So secondly, I'm not very drawn into the topic of this novel. The story revolves around a woman called Su Ang who is struggling with fertility and goes to Thailand to seek for more advanced technology and also seeking for herself. And after this book was published, Fu Zhen wrote an article talking about how this novel was inspired by her experience, which I was deeply sympathized with. However, I usually stay away from topics about fertility and parenthood, because as a person who's chosen to be child-free, it's not a topic that really interests me. And on top of that, reading people struggling with it just give me the feeling of unease. And it reminds me every time like how much women will need to suffer like throughout the history of all the things. And in Fu Zhen's article, she talks about how she and also the protagonist in this novel went through so many suffers and difficulties, and it just like sounds painful for me to read, especially I care about her as a person. Additionally, the part where the character is looking for herself in Thailand really sounds like a lot of like self-help books, which doesn't help in the situation. So that's the reason why after a year this book has been published, I haven't read it. However, it's still a book that I intend to read, and I hope I can read it within this year. Then we have a mystery novel. It's called 渔猎 by Shi Mai. The title translates to fish hunting, and I just found out that in this book, they also sent you a poster of the book. It's like so, I don't know what to say. It's a little bit excessive, but fine, I'll take it, I guess. This book sounds incredibly intriguing. It sets in the fishing village as the fish hunting, and one day a girl called Yu Jing falls into a coma by accident. And after awakening, she went through a drastic personality change and claimed herself to be Yu Jing, not Yu Jing, sorry, Yu Jing is her name, claimed herself to be He Qi, which is actually a friend of hers who died, was actually killed 6 months ago by the sea. And of course, no one knows what happens, and as readers, we discover the truth alongside with the characters. And I don't think there's more I need to say about this book. It's actually got me sold on the blurb already, and also ranked #1 in the mystery category last year on the reading community. Well, the last book I got here, I actually have a little bit of an explanation to do. Even my friends were surprised that I got it. It is 生死疲劳 by Mo Yan, another book with skirt. Anyhow, let's get rid of that. And this book was translated to Fatigue of Life and Death, and Mo Yan actually won the Nobel Prize in Literature in 2012, which reminds me this book might have an English translation, but I don't recommend, and I won't link it down below in case you want to look it out. You can look it up by yourself, but I'm not linking it. Bear with me. So, I have never read his books before, and I don't even know why, like how can I phrase it to tell you, because I just feel like his books gives out a very vulgar vibe, even in some of his titles. So that's one of the reasons why I have never read it. And also, I'm aware that this book maybe got a lot of, male gaze and a lot of those things in it. It's one of those like broad literature. But funnily, one of his daughter's novels is actually one of my favorite in middle school, and that novel actually accompanied me throughout some difficulties in middle school, and I really, really loved it. I did not know that she was his daughter when I read it in middle school. And now you may be wondering, why did you pick up this book then? Like I said, I am 99% sure that I won't like his work, but I have never read it. And I always have this curiosity to, to confirm it. It's like I always tell people that I don't like 3 body problems, but I have read that book and also all the 3 books in that trilogy. So I have exact reason why I don't like those books. So I can tell people and go on and on about it for like 3 days. But I have nothing to say about Mo Yan's book because I have never read his books, and I just want to confirm that I don't like it. I hope that makes sense. Maybe I hate myself, but yeah, this is the reason. I guess I just want to pinpoint why I don't like his books in case I run into a discussion in the future, or I just want to make sure. I feel like I'm just repeating myself, but like, do you get it? Please let me know downstairs. So those are the 7 fictional books that I got in my Chinese book parcel, and I hope you enjoy this video, although a lot of the books that you probably, if you don't read Chinese, you probably won't get access to in a near future, but I still wish you find this video interesting. And like I said, there will be a part 2 of this book haul where I talk about all the non-fiction books that I got. And please let me know what books did you get recently that you are excited for, and do you read in other languages? Like, how do you acquire those books? And also, please don't forget to thumbs up to this video. I hope you happy reading, stay healthy, stay safe. I'll see you in my next bookish video. Bye!